The opinions or viewpoints contained in the following program are expressly those of the program presenter and do not necessarily reflect the philosophy, opinions, or viewpoints of Praise Radio or M&M Broadcasting. Welcome to Let's Talk About It with Laura Paul. Join Laura as she brings interesting guests, inspirational discussion, and a Christ-centered perspective on life. Enjoy the next hour with your host, Laura Paul.
Hey everyone, welcome to Monday night and Let's Talk About It. I am your host, Laura Paul. Delighted to have you with me tonight, and we are going to be talking about so many things. I want to thank Dan Bell for being the producer of this program, and he is also, believe it or not, whether he's on camera or not, my special guest this evening. And we have so much to talk about as we venture into discussing NQC, the National Quartet Convention that happened, and Dan broadcast live from there all week last week, and it was a great time for everyone. It was my first NQC convention. Of course, they had the awards that are part of the Singing News Magazine Awards, and perhaps you couldn't be there. And if that's the case, well, it's okay, because we are going to tell you, I'm going to plug something else in here, and we are going to tell you about everything that happened behind the scenes. That's the best part, isn't it? The nitty-gritty you didn't get to see if you were there. And we're going to have a special guest call in, and that was one of the winners of the awards. And we're just going to give you the whole rundown. And so I do have a few thank yous to go through before we get started. And listen closely, because you might be a part of that too. I want to thank the super supporter of this program, and that's David's Abbey Carpet and Floors. They have 3 locations to serve you, and they're just waiting for you to come in, and they'll help you. There's a whole team there to help you with your next project. Also, they are located in Pigeon Forge, Farragut, and Knoxville, so very convenient to you. They've been serving East Tennessee for, well, really close to 53 years at this point. Thank you for being a super supporter of this program. Let's see, we also want to thank my social media person that helps get the posts out and let you know what's going on the program, and that's Shelby Hicks. That's why you can see us on Facebook Live tonight. Just go on Facebook and put in Talk with Laura Paul, and it'll pop up somewhere. And of course, we will continue to be on Facebook, so if you or your friends missed it tonight, then you can watch sometime later in the week again if there's a part that you missed and you wanted to catch. And let's see, we also are on YouTube now. We had some friends that listen regularly, and they said, I can't always get the station where I am or get on computer, because you can go to praise963.com and listen on your computer or your phone anywhere in the world, even outside of our own country. So plenty of places, including your radio. Praise 96.3 FM. Thank you, Praise Radio, for allowing programs like this. And let's see, I think my thank you list is complete at this point. And there's one very, very, very special somebody to thank. And that is you, the listeners of this program that tune in every Monday night at 7 just to hear whatever we're talking about. Remember, the show is a conversation with people talking about Jesus in their lives, the seasons of their lives, how things change, the hills and valleys, the things that they get through, go through, and how Jesus was there, or they didn't really realize Jesus was there, and hindsight's 2020. But that is what we do on Monday nights. We talk about whatever's going on, and what was going on last week was the convention, and so for the last 2 weeks here on the show, you have had the opportunity to listen to the music of the best duets, the best trios, the best bands and the best quartets that have been nominated. So we played a lot of music for the last 2 weeks of those artists. And now tonight we're going to talk about who actually won in those categories. And let's see. For those of you that are new to our area, NQC stands for the National Quartet Convention, and it's an annual event held here in Pigeon Forge, and it is huge. Every gospel artist that is top of the charts is there. They have a booth where fans can come and see them and get their autographs, get their latest hits, CDs. They even have them on flash drives now, so there's always a different method of getting their music, and just talk to them. I mean, Southern gospel music is just so intriguing if you are not familiar with it, because it's true what they say. It really is one great big family. And you just don't see that in all genres of music and artists like it is here in Southern gospel music, particularly in East Tennessee. So you're going to hear tonight some things from behind the scenes. And the award show, by the way, was hosted by Michael Booth and Pat Barker. And those two, when they are together, are absolutely hilarious. I mean, they take punches at each other, and then they start laughing at each other for just coming out of left field. It's a lot of fun to watch them on stage together. So they were great hosts of the event, and NQC was all week. Dan was there, as you know, talking to all the artists and talking about their new music. And so with no further ado, I'm going to invite Dan Bell to get on his microphone. And I'm sorry you can't see, but we'll throw up a picture this week. So, Dan, you're going to end up on Facebook no matter what.
Well, thanks for the warning.
And so what we want to know is you've gone how many years have you been going to NQC?
It's about 10th year. I mean, since 2016.
Okay. Now, there, for some reason, and I have not figured it out yet, I cannot hear you in the other room.
Okay.
So I thought I was hearing over my headset, and I'm not. And so I may just have to come in there with you and drag my computer with me and everybody with me and just talk in there with you and look at your face so I can hear you. Let me see if I can figure out anything on this side to get these. Maybe I'll plug it into a different jack and see if that does the trick. Let me see. I know you've got all your buttons right.
I've got all my buttons right.
And let's see. I've got it all the way up. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to try a different mic. I'm going to go to mic 1 and see if something happens, okay? Let's go to mic 1. If not, I'm going to carry the whole show into the other room. Sorry for this little... that's what live radio is all about. When people get to see what really happens. See, I've got all these different mics. Can I hear myself on this one? Hello, hello, hello.
Yep.
Wonder if it's the headset. Let me plug in a different headset. We're going to try one more thing. And if that doesn't work, I'm headed in to the other room with Dan. And let's see what happens if I do this and get on a different headset. Okay, here we go. This is what you call headset hair. You've heard of hat hair. Well, now if you're watching, you get to see what headset hair looks like. And do I hear anything? Oh, okay.
Test 1 2 1 2.
Hey! Guess what, Dan?
All right.
A faulty headset. I'll mark that one as don't use this one, anyone. And yay. So I didn't have to go, but my gosh, look at that. I told you headset hair.
Yeah.
That's all right. You know what? You can listen, and that's the most important part. It's what Dan has to share. What I want to know is your overall impression of NQC last week, and how it differed from previous years, and how many years you've been going.
Well, since 2016, every year, thanks to a guy named Clark Beasley, who's the executive director. I happen to know Clark from church, and lots of folks will know him now as co-host with Tommy Spencer on the Sunday Tradition TV show. And Clark's just a great guy. And I just asked him, I said, well, I would love to be able to come up there and do something. He said, well, I got just a spot for you. And he put me right there in that same spot, and I've been there every year since. And thanks to some fine sponsors making it possible for me to make that trip and get to spend each afternoon there. I love it. I'm glad it's only a week, but it's something to look forward to. It is like seeing family and friends that we have that I haven't even had a chance to talk to in a year.
Well, I think you were always at a great spot, and I'm going to have to ask, is Jonathan Wilburn always right next to you?
Well, the last couple of years he has been, and well, 1 year it was Gold City, and I can't remember who another year, but the last couple of years it's been Jonathan. I don't know if that's by design or what.
Well, I tell you, you couldn't be keeping any better company than Jonathan and the lovely lady in the red dress across from you, none other than
Melissa Brady.
And you're right there at one of the main entrances into the theater where they have the awards and the shows. And, of course, they have the live shows every evening. But there seemed to be a new energy. I felt like I was hearing just walking through the hallways that a lot of people were saying, this year's better than ever. Do you have an idea what that was all about?
I'm not sure what it was, but I want to emphasize there's really something almost all day long. They have a morning showcase every morning. And folks that live in the area, that is free. So you can go, you can hear some artists that maybe you've never heard of before. These are not necessarily new artists or anything. Some of them have been singing for years, but it's their only chance to come to NQC and sing. And they call it a showcase because it's not a talent contest. It's just a chance for you to see and hear some folks you wouldn't hear otherwise. And then every morning, every day, one artist is selected to appear on the main stage that night. So it gives them something extra special, and it's always amazing. Some of the better recent known artists, that's where they got that first break to get that chance to appear before on the main stage. Like the group called the Rogers Family last year. They came out of nowhere from over in western North Carolina, and they earned the right to appear on the main stage. Since then, they've signed a major record deal, and they're working at becoming more of a better known group in Southern Gospel.
You know, I had no idea that what you're saying is in the morning, that group does not know that they're going to be singing that night.
No, you don't know who it's going to be, so you don't know which one it will be.
So they literally pull it out of the hat, and there are a lot of new artists and new groups there, aren't there?
Right, and that's a chance to see some folks that are just really getting started good to make that first appearance. And of course, they have a special morning chapel every morning at 10 o'clock, and they also have a special afternoon thing. Like one day they did a tribute to Dottie Rambo that was just absolutely amazing. When you think about Dottie Rambo, she wrote, at last count, over 2,500 songs. And I mean, some of the greatest gospel songs of all time. So they did a special tribute to her. And matter of fact, I got to talk to one of her daughter, Reba, who is a legend in her own right. And so it was just extra special for me there. And of course, you had the awards on Wednesday. They had something special every day, like the Gaithers did a special homecoming. You've seen the Gaither homecoming shows where
absolutely
everybody sings, and they had one of those Thursday afternoon as well. So, I mean, just something extra special every day.
So much fun. And while I'm at it, I want to thank you, Dan, for the afternoon that I got to spend with you. And I met so many artists that you were interviewing live on Praise 96.3. And I was able to, really talk to them. And we are making some big plans for December to have a lot of those artists on Let's Talk About It and playing their new Christmas CDs. So it's going to be a very holly, merry, musical December on Let's Talk About It, as well as talking about, of course, nonprofits and things that we can do in our community to help others. That's always very important to me, that we have those folks on as well as part of the programs in December. I just thank you so much for the introductions that you made. And I'm always honest with Dan. I turned around and said, well, I am poaching some of your people you're interviewing to be on the show with us later. And that's actually already happening tonight. So thank you for those introductions.
Well, that's okay. It's all in the family, so it's all right.
Actually, I was very, very honored to sit right next to Dan because he had a great seat, and it was right next to, we were sitting next to Sherry Easter's guitar player and Sherry Easter. I mean, I'm kind of, starstruck sitting that close to Sherry Easter. And then, she went on and won a couple of awards. And, we were just sitting amongst Southern gospel greatness, but I was not the first one. Someone else of Southern gospel greatness came over and said, oh, there's Dan, the encyclopedia of Southern gospel music. So I was not the first one to ever call you that. I thought I was original.
Well, we won't get into that.
Well, speaking of Sherry, she and Jeff won favorites, the fan favorite for Best Duet. And they were also, she announced when she received her award, celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary.
They're both really terrific people. And Jeff has some of the funniest liners. He comes up with, I don't know where he gets it. He always has something very interesting to say. I mean, it's always great to hear what he's got to say as well as what he sings. And of course, she also won the Favorite Alto Award, which is pretty good. That's it's always interesting because this is voted on by the fans. These are the people that subscribe to Singing News Magazine that get to vote there. So you never know how they're going to vote, to be honest about it.
Well, for those of you listening to Let's Talk About It here at 7:14 on a Monday night with my special guest, Dan, and we've got two surprises, a surprise caller that Dan, I think now knows about. I think I told him before the show, and I just found out, that's why I've been looking astray from the Facebook Live folks. I just got a text from someone else that I had hoped would call in, and I thought they were out of town and weren't going to be able, and I just got the confirmation that they also are going to call this evening. So we've got a lot coming in the next 45 minutes, and it is going to be so much fun. If you were there, and if you weren't, we just got to jump in and talk about the inspirations because, there are 21 awards given. And this is kind of like, I don't know, for country music fans, it's like the CMAs. Would you say that, Dan?
Yeah, that'd be comparable.
The CMAs for Southern gospel music. This is a really big deal. And with 21 categories, and they start in March with, it narrowed to 10 nominees. And then there's a vote again, and by July, it's down to the final 5. And then at NQC last week, when they announce the awards, it's 1 out of 5 chance that you're going to win. And the Inspirations won just over a third. If I do my math correctly, 21 divided by 3 is 7, and they won 8 awards.
Yeah, well, they won every one they were nominated for. They were not nominated for favorite duet or favorite trio.
I don't think that a quartet...
They could have won it if they were, I believe.
I don't know. I don't think a quartet can win for trio or duet, Dan.
Well, I believe the Inspirations could if they'd made the cut. I mean, okay.
Well, we might as well run the gamut here, and I'm going to have to look aside and have some cheat notes on this one. Let's see. First of all, I always like to include, for those that are new to Southern gospel music, the who's who and what's what. The Inspirations currently include Roland Kesterson as the lead vocalist, Isaac Moore is their tenor, Luke Vault. I always wonder how to pronounce that correctly, and I've heard it so many times, and I still look at it and I want to say vote instead of vault, and it's clearly vault. Luke, I'm just going to call him Luke. He's the only Luke in the Inspirations anyway. He's singing baritone, and he plays a mean piano. Wyatt Austin on bass guitar and singing bass, so there's a bass and bass guy. And finally, the Inspirations are under the management of tenor Archie Watkins, and he became their newest owner in 2017.
And make sure everybody knows Archie was one of the original Inspirations in 1964 when they started.
And became owner in 2017. Right. So, I mean, he's been with the Inspirations. We're going to start putting a calculator in here, Dan. Okay. Anyway, long time is what we'll say. And by the way, I wanted to give everyone watching on Facebook Live and listening to the radio a quick note on catching the Inspirations in concert locally. If you're looking for when they're going to be back in our area, they're going to be here for the Ultimate Christmas in the Smokies, and that is Tuesday, November the 18th in Pigeon Forge. They'll be here again at Springview Baptist Church in Maryville, Wednesday, November the 26th. And then back to Pigeon Forge at the Grand Smokies Resort, December 11th, 12th, and 13th. So, I'm going to run over what they won, Dan, and you can pipe in on anything you want to.
Right.
8 out of 21 awards for the Inspirations. Favorite quartet, favorite baritone with Luke Vault, favorite musician and pianist, favorite song, He Sent Him for Me, and I love that song because I think that he sent him for me. And that's what everybody says, no, not you, he sent him for me. And they also won the album Legacy Continues. What is that all about, the Legacy Continues?
Well, just that, continuing the legacy of the Inspirations.
The tenor is Isaac Moore, and he won for best or fan fave tenor, and Wyatt Austin for fan fave bass, and favorite lead singer Roland Kesterson. And Dan, give us your thoughts on what happened to cause this particular group. What did they do this last year? What's happened in the last couple of years with that group that has caused them to become, I mean, they've always been loved, whoever was in the Inspirations, but particularly this group of four gentlemen to become so loved by the Southern Gospel fans?
Well, I think exactly what the Inspirations did is they went and found four very talented young men that just fit in perfectly with what the Inspirations had always been. In other words, I call them the Inspirations 2.0 because that's what it is. It's like that's the way the Inspirations were when they first hit the scene back in the 60s and 70s, with the very much the same style as far as they all acted just about like the same as these guys. It's just happening that the second generation's getting to see what we got to see way back then with folks like Archie and then Troy Burns, of course, one of the earlier Inspirations as well.
Well, now, one of these fellows is out of your original neck of the woods,
right?
North Carolina, and that is?
Wyatt is, I think, is up from over there. Right.
Correct?
Well, see, the Inspirations are from there, or from Bryson City is where they are from.
But isn't he the newest and youngest? Didn't he just join most recently?
Yeah, he pretty well, the last 4 years they've kind of adapted these four guys into.
And these four guys, I mean, a couple of them are very young. To me, they're very young. And they really tag team well in teasing each other, don't you think, Dan?
Oh, they're good. They're. That's what I say. They're just like the Inspirations were, we're going through it again.
And where we were sitting watching the show on a front row next to Sherry. Did I mention we were sitting right next to Sherry? I just want to say, did I mention that? I was sitting that close to Sherry Easter. She's going to call later and say, Dan, what was wrong with Laura Monday night?
Oh, she's already called me. No, I'm kidding you.
Anyway, we would stand. We were so excited for each group that won. But they suddenly started listing off or calling out the awards for the Inspirations, and it was almost like we were stuck in a standing ovation. We didn't get to sit down again. It was inspirations after inspirations after inspirations. However, there were some other groups that won some different awards that we are certainly going to talk about here shortly. But in the meantime, if they won 8 out of 21 of the categories, I think, Dan, it would only be appropriate if we played something by the Inspirations. What you got in there? The winning song, perhaps?
Well, why not?
He sent the rain for a dry, thirsty land. He sent the grain to feed hungry man. He sent the birds to sing in the trees. But when he sent Jesus, he sent him for me. When he sent Jesus, God's only Son, my God could do what no man had done. He knew what was needed to set my soul free. When he sent Jesus, he sent him for me. He sent the lilies to bloom in the spring. He made the mountains, oh, and he made the streams. He made the oceans, and he made the sea. But when he sent Jesus, he sent him for me. When he sent Jesus, God's only Son, my God could do what no man had done. He knew what was needed to set my soul free. When he sent Jesus, he sent him for me. When he sent Jesus, God's only Son, oh, my God could do what no man had done. He knew what was needed to set my soul free. When he sent Jesus, he sent him for me.
Oh, Dan, did you hear that bass singer? I am such a sucker for the bass. I'm sorry. You're listening to Let's Talk About It with Laura Paul. We're on Facebook Live tonight on Let's Talk About It with Laura Paul, and that's where you can find us. You can go to praise963.com and listen. We're on your Praise 96.3 on your radio.
Can I give you a little quick history lesson?
I would love a history lesson. After all, we do call you the Encyclopedia of Southern Gospel Music, Dan.
1964, a former piano player for the Kingsmen, also a chemistry teacher in Swain High School in Bryson City, a guy named Martin Cook. He started having jam sessions at his home with various people. And then he came up with this group called the Inspirations. And they actually started in 64. They didn't actually go full-time till about 68. I just want to give you a sample. They had the number one song for a solid year in 1973. And it is one of a kind. Check it out right here.
The Son of God is the light. You'll find me there on the street so pretty, made of gold so pure and so bright.
Now, you get the same kind of flavor from that group of inspirations like today?
I do. And now I understand. One of the things I loved was when they won the awards, and I'm not going to call out each individual and try to specifically quote them. We're talking about the awards given last week by Singing News Magazine, which is like the CMAs for country music. That's what it is for Southern gospel music. And it's part of the National Quartet Convention annual event held in Pigeon Forge. And my special guest, Dan Bell, here on Let's Talk About It on Praise 96.3. And so anyway, they said such lovely things when they would win an award, and they talked about things like, let's see, as the awards are voted by the fans, that they gave special appreciation to Danny Jones, the man behind the scenes of the Singing News magazine for 40 years. Didn't you talk to Danny at some point?
Yeah, of course, and wouldn't dare miss a chance to talk to him. Rick Francis, another great guy from Singing News Magazine, that helped. And it's interesting, both of them at some point held small parts in a group, playing for the McCameys or somebody else, playing the bass guitar. So they know what gospel music's all about, and it's only right that they could be involved in a magazine that writes about gospel.
I particularly like how when they won one of the awards that they referenced, now this was really nice, especially after you've just played one of their older pieces. They gave tribute to all the singers that paved the way, sharing that they were reaping from the fields that were sowed by those before them. I thought that was such a neat way of paying homage to those that came before them in the inspirations.
Well, I was going to say they know where the roots of gospel music lay in the families from way back when. Yeah.
One of them said that upon winning favorite song, they shared that their success was due to God's anointing of the song, and gave homage and tribute to God and honor and praise to God as the reason that the song was even a success, much less a success with the fans. And so, I found that they were very humble in their acceptance and very appreciative. We were sitting right next to Sherry Easter. I don't know if I happened to mention that earlier on the show, but I will mention again that they did win, she and Jeff, like you said earlier, favorite duet and favorite alto singer for Sherry. And it was amazing to see her on stage and hear the things that she had to say. Favorite mixed group was the Mylan Hayes family. And from that part of that family is the favorite newest young artist, and that's Connor Hayes.
That's one thing I like about the fact that Singing News works, and to recognize those. You have some young people that are trying to learn about gospel and working in the gospel music industry. It's great to see them get some extra attention too.
Well, the favorite trio, like we said, we couldn't. The quartet couldn't win the favorite trio, and that was won by Greater Vision, and songwriter with Greater Vision, Rodney Griffin, and How, do you have any idea how many songs he's actually written?
Several hundred, I'm sure.
And, one of the things that I've noticed in Southern gospel music is that artists will write and other groups will pick up their songs and produce them, or take songs that have been done 20, 30 years ago and maybe by a different group and reproduce them in their own style. And so it's also a family of share and share yet again with the music.
Well, I was going to share a song with you that I heard for the first time Wednesday morning. And that's Joseph Habedank, who got the favorite soloist award, sang Wednesday night on stage.
Well, I was going to talk about Joseph Habedank a little bit later, but I might as well just jump right in, Dan, and take the opportunity to talk about the fact that he was teased at the program relentlessly relentlessly
Right.
by the other artists and by the host that we mentioned before of the event. And it was all about his great tan and his pearly white teeth. And oh my gosh, I mean, you know, Dan, I don't know what to say. If I was just a little younger and a little more, oh, anyway, I guess you had a song you wanted to play.
I did. He sang a song that he helped write about his church where he grew up, and his pastor has been there 40 years. His pastor is still the pastor there.
Wow.
And
That says a lot. That says a lot.
if we've all got that home church that we went to when we were young, we can identify with this song. If that's okay, I was going to share it with you.
I would love to hear it.
And he sang it Wednesday morning, and he said, "You got to hear it." And then he sang it that night when his pastor was there at NQC. It's about the church.
I've heard it said the church is not a building. I guess it's true, it's only brick and stone. But there's one that changed my life off Highway 35. And to this day that place still feels like home. There's a preacher who's been there for 40 years, preaching for the Lord and to the lost. I know those wooden pews, I've walked the aisle a time or two, and know the things I felt inside those walls. It's where I learned to pray and sing Amazing Grace. When they said amen, I didn't want to leave. And even to this day, I still read the old King James. It's how I learned to quote John 3:16. Though I packed up and moved to Tennessee, I can't get that church out of me. We went every time the doors were open, Wednesday, Sunday, sometimes Tuesday too. Mama played piano while I sat on the front row, and I met Jesus right there in that pew. It's where I learned to pray and sing Amazing Grace. When they said amen, I didn't want to leave. And even to this day, I still read the old King James. It's how I learned to quote John 3:16. Though I packed up and moved to Tennessee, I can't get that church out of me. Oh, I wonder if those people underneath that steeple know the mark that they've left on me. Oh, the man I am today still loves that sacred place. My roots are planted in that memory of where I learned to pray, sing Amazing Grace. When they said amen, I didn't want to leave. And even to this day, I still read the old King James. It's how I learned to quote John 3:16. Though I packed up and I moved to Tennessee, I can't get that church out of me. I hope I never get that church out of me.
Praise 96.3. Let's talk about it with Laura Paul. And a special guest, hopefully a surprise for Dan when he answered the phone. On the line with us this evening is an award winner with a special group. And, of course, that is for favorite band. And it's Jeff Tolbert. Hey, Jeff. Congratulations.
Hey, guys. Well, thank you very much. What a surprise. Wow, we were just blown away and so excited to be in the top 5. You know, that's a great place to be to start with, but never anticipated on being the winner. Wow, and we're excited about it. So humbled and
the
thankful.
The whole group called Primitive Road, and you really were surprised, weren't you?
Yes, we were, and of course we was up against the big lineup there, you know, and of course a lot of great musicians and singers as well. But we were just honored, like I said, to be in the top 5, but to be able to win was over the top, and we're super excited about that, and very humbled and honored that folks and the fans would vote us to be Band of the Year. What an honor!
Well, I'm going to say it. I was not surprised.
And
I was not surprised that he won
because
I think I think they exemplify what a live band is supposed to be. I mean, and first time I met this guy was about almost 10 years ago now, up at Dollywood, and can play the mandolin, sing, and everything else. And he took he took a group that had retired and kind of remodeled it and continued on when he went from the Primitive Quartet that retired a few years ago to make Primitive Road. And I think you've done exactly what you set out to do, didn't you?
Well, I appreciate that, Dan. I certainly do. And it's been a God thing. I mean, you know, we definitely can't do it without his touch and what we're trying to do. But with much prayer and, you know, and seeking and just not really wanting the music to die, you know. I mean, there's a history of the Primitive Quartet for many, many years, 50 years that God has blessed that ministry, and to be able to try to keep those songs alive and to bring them to the table from time to time is quite an honor to keep that alive. And of course, you know, it's been so humbling. A lot of the fans have been coming up and just really, you know, thank you for continuing on and to doing, because when the Primitive Quartet was going to retire, we didn't know exactly, you know, we'd always been a big fan, and we were just saddened to know, but now to know that the music is continuing on, what a blessing that is. And so that's a great thing, and we're happy.
You know, Jeff, when you walked by to get your seat before you won, Dan introduced me to you, and as you walked away, he said, he plays a mean mandolin. So, how old were you when you learned, and what do you play by ear? What are the details?
I do play by ear. I was born into a family. My mom and dad on both sides of the family was very musical. And loved music growing up. My dad had 14 brothers and sisters. They played music. My mom had many nephews and uncles that played music as well. And so music was just a big part of our family and our lives growing up. The radio stayed on all the time. And, of course, we were raised in church, and I'm very thankful for my heritage and my godly raising. But my dad was just a sweetheart when it come to music, and he always wanted to give everyone a chance to learn how to play. So he basically, of course, me being his son, he took me under his wing and started showing me how to play and put my fingers on the strings and things like that. And then as time went on, you know, I love music so much, and I was around the Inspirations, the Singing Cooks, the Hemp Hills, all the groups. And then not only that, but being raised in Mount Airy, North Carolina, the Easter Brothers I was a huge fan of theirs and just heroes of mine. And if you'll read my article in the Singing News from this past month, it tells a story about that, and even shows a picture with me with James and Russell there. But they were just heroes of mine. So it was just music was just always a part of our lives, you know. So it was I was bound to play, I guess. Well, but I started traveling with the Easter Brothers when I was 15 years old. So I started young and been doing it a long time.
Well, you know, one of the things I'm very excited about, Jeff and I talked before the show, and for those of you listening and watching on Facebook Live, Jeff is going to be my special guest in an up-and-coming show very, very soon, and we are going to take a deep dive into his life and how God was in different seasons of his life coming up, and especially starting so young at the age of 15. And Jeff, what I didn't tell you is that my dad played a mean mandolin too, and I love that
really?
music.
Awesome.
So I do a lot of impromptu things on the show because it's a conversation about God in people's lives. Will you bring your mandolin with you when you come?
Absolutely. We've always, as I was growing up, we never go anywhere without an instrument or two here and there in the trunk.
There you go. I'm kind of known for asking some of my guests that sing and play to actually sing a cappella and hit that instrument, and we do the best to mic it and for everyone to get to hear that on the radio, which is truly one of the unique things of live radio shows that are not pre-recorded, and you get to hear something like that. You don't hear that much in radio anymore, so we're tickled that you're going to be in an upcoming show. We appreciate you calling in tonight, and we're, like I said, we're going to take a deeper dive into your life. But again, congratulations for the award. Thanks for calling tonight. I know you and Dan have been trying to get together all week. I'm glad that I could connect you. So I'm going to talk to my next guest, which is a surprise to everyone, including Dan, and that was also there, and a huge surprise as to how we reconnected after 2 decades. Actually, don't talk to Dan. Just listen to your radio. You may want to hear the rest of the story. So anyway, we'll be talking to you again very, very soon, Jeff, and we'll coordinate to do something together this week.
All right, line 2's here.
All right, line 2. So I've got to prep everybody that's listening on how this went down before I start talking to my special guest on line 2. Because I was just walking down I think that guest got disconnected, Dan, so they may be trying to call back again. They're saying they think they got disconnected. Anyway, what I was going to say is that I was just walking through the halls at my very first NQC last week, and I saw this particular person in a booth, and I just stood there and waited. I was about 6 feet away. And that person was talking to another couple, so I just waited for them to be through with their conversation. And she turned around, and I'm going to let this person that I used to work with in radio, and I also can tell you that she was the singer at my wedding and did a beautiful job. And we have not spoken or seen each other until last week. A reunion happened at NQC, and that is with the one, the only, Tanya Stout Brown. Hi, Tanya.
Hello there. It's so good to connect with you after all these years.
You want to pick up the story? What happened right after you saw me?
Well, let me back up a little bit.
Okay.
I saw you out of the corner of my eye, and I just glanced over, and I saw this extremely elegant woman who had this beautiful blonde hair and perfect makeup, and she was dressed in black with just a little bit of sparkle. And my first thought was, oh, my goodness, they've sent someone over here from the convention center, and I'm in trouble, and I don't know what I've done.
Everybody's looking at Facebook. Everybody is looking at Facebook Live and going, who in the world is she talking about? Because I've had to play with the headsets tonight. I've got not hat hair, but headset hair on Facebook Live. And here you are describing me in that way. Thank you so much for that.
You looked fabulous. And you were waiting patiently. You were just standing there waiting. Mm-hmm. And it was like, it took me half a second. But then there was that instant recognition. It was that blast from the past. And it was like, oh, my goodness, it's Laura.
All I remember is here came open arms flying to give me a hug. And it was a great reunion. There are those special friends. I truly think that God brings us together, that when you get back together, even if it's been 2 decades since you said a word to each other, it's like you spoke and had a large conversation yesterday, isn't it?
Yes, and won't that be what heaven's like? People who've gone on before us that we haven't talked to in years or decades.
Bring it home.
There will be that connection. Hallelujah. I can hardly wait.
Yeah, I can't. Let me tell you, seeing you last week at NQC was anything like heaven, and that moment of expression of love and just pure exhilaration and glee. Then, wow, I don't usually say let's go now, but let's go now.
Well, there probably won't be quite as much hairspray in heaven. We'll see.
Well, we should share with those listening that Tanya and I worked in radio together in the 1980s, early 80s, at a local station that has something to do with a frog and country music, and I think that's a dead giveaway. You did news. I was an air personality, and we worked the same shift, the same hours, but the early 80s, well, that was the time of big hair and a lot of hairspray, wasn't it?
Yes. Big everything. Big shoulder pads and big patterns on your clothes and big pockets. It was just a big, big time. And we had a big time working together at the radio station. You and I actually both went to the University of Tennessee, Knoxville College of Communications and knew each other there a little bit. But with us working that same shift,
we really got to know each other.
Yes, you were there on the air when I came back to the radio station after covering city council meetings or county commission meetings when I was doing all my editing. So we really had a chance to bond and become good friends and lunch buddies, even after we moved on in our different directions.
And I actually remember covering elections here in Knox County and surrounding area live with Mike Hammond, and let's see, I can visualize it's another one of the news anchors.
Yeah, Channing
Smith. That's who I was thinking of, Channing Smith. And so there are a few people listening, maybe, I don't know, a handful, that would be 5, that are actually going, I remember that. But anyway, what a great reunion. I'm like, okay, so something else that's special about NQC, besides the artists seeing one another and the fans seeing the artists, is that you never know who's going to show up at NQC that you haven't seen in a very long time. So it's another reason why I find it to be just a wonderful, wonderful event. Tell me about your experience. You saw the awards. You were there manning a booth, and I'm sure you had your own personal thoughts and experience of the entire event. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it was wonderful. It was bigger than I expected it to be, and it was so exciting to see those Singing News Fan Awards and to see these artists in person. And I was surprised at how brutal they are in their humor with each other. I mean, they were brutal, but it was all with laughter and smiles and hugs. And, they gave each other a hard time the way you give your family members a hard time.
That was specifically Michael Booth and Pat Barker, the hosts of the show. Yeah. And if they weren't brutal with each other, the other artists and those giving the awards would come out and have a few words to share or say in their direction. So that just made it fun for all.
Yeah, I love seeing the inspirations. I'm at that age where I just think Wyatt Austin is adorable. And Isaac Moore is adorable, and I want to know if they're married so I can introduce my daughters to them, but that's probably not going to happen.
Oh, Tanya, you're so much better than I am, because I told Dan that after they teased over and over again Haberdank about his tan and his pearly white teeth, I was starting to think if I was just a little bit younger and not married. About that time Dan brought his fan in here to cool me down.
Well, they were all looking quite sharp.
I'll start paying attention for your daughters too. I will join you in that.
Yeah.
So
I actually came down the concourse and I saw Dan there at the radio station booth, but he was, of course, surrounded by his fans. So I thought I'd catch him later, but he was already gone by the time I got there. You and Dan do such a great job with what you do with the radio station. Love what you're doing. Love having you both on the air here in Knoxville. It's just wonderful. Don't go anywhere.
You are overly kind, and you do a great job with what you do, working as the announcer of all the things that are David Jeremiah on another station here in town that's all talk and doesn't play gospel music or music, but it's all talk. So
it's all preaching and teaching of God's word, and that's why I was there to support David Jeremiah. because he's such an important part. But do you know what I'm most famous for now?
Let me guess. Facebook
working
Live.
with another guy named Bell. That's what it is.
You know what, Tanya? We've gone so far since the early days in the 80s. We both are working for gentlemen with the gentleman named Bell.
You're right.
Look at the
You gotta
things
watch
we
out.
have in common.
Bob Bell and Dan Bell, and they're both a little rowdy sometimes, but we wouldn't have them any other way.
I always have to throw in that you probably don't remember, but my very first thing I did on radio at WIVK was on the AM side, and I was filling in for a gentleman that did a Golden Oldies show. It's the very first hour I was live on anything IVK, and I was filling in for the one and only Dan Bell. Big shoes to fill at that time as a 20-something-year-old, and now we're full circle and back with the Bells.
It's a full circle moment for sure.
Is that a ringing endorsement?
I see what you did there.
Well, I'm going to keep you on the line with me for just one more moment because I don't want to leave out a few of the awards that we haven't gotten to. I want to mention that. Let's see. Favorite band was, we talked to Jeff Tolbert just a moment ago. Favorite trio, Greater Vision and songwriter Rodney Griffin. Favorite new artist was, that gave me tears. I think a lot of people, and that was Autumn Nealon Streetman. And she sang. Dan, you want to make a comment on that as well?
Just incredible. And one of my favorite memories here
The Nealons.
Was when the bus rolled in and all four of them came in. That's one of my favorite pictures, and I'm going to be looking for those other three when I get to heaven, I tell you.
And for those that are listening and learning about Southern gospel music, we lost the majority of that family in a plane crash just a year ago.
Right.
And so it's so we were talking, Tanya, about how Southern gospel groups, they truly are family. And so it was for the entire industry. I get chills just talking about it now. It was losing a part of the family. And so that was a pretty amazing thing. Talk about the Paul Heil Award and the Gospel Greats, Dan.
Well, Paul was a legend in his own right, no doubt about it. He told me one time he grew up listening to Paul Harvey, and he wanted to be kind of like Paul Harvey, but I think he went better because he did it with gospel music. Started a program still going on called Gospel Greats, and he was, well, one of a kind. I was going to give you a taste of that, just a taste.
Thanks for tuning our way for the Gospel Greats. We're right here each week at this time. Why not call a friend or tell someone at work or at church to tune in each week at this time for the Gospel Greats?
He was indeed quite a legend. Matter of fact, that goes back to 1991, that recording.
He even sounds just a little bit like Paul Harvey. Don't you think so, Tanya?
I agree. Yeah. I agree. He's definitely got that good old school radio voice that you don't hear enough of anymore.
Well, in true Paul Harvey style, he would start a story and then there would be a commercial or so, like I'm going to do right now, and tell you, get ready for your next project with David's Abbey Carpet and Floors. They've got a full team to serve you. 3 locations, Pigeon Forge, Maryville, Knoxville, and I can attest personally that the 3 generations of family are all operating and going to continue the business forever and ever. Amen. And the man that started it all is still behind the scenes. He's taking a little a semi-retirement. I would say retired, except I see him at everything. So what are you going to do? Of course, that's David Hayes. And we are just so excited to see so many family members getting into the business and so many new products coming into the stores. So the selection is huge. They'll work within your budget. That's David's Abbey Carpet and Floors. And now here's Laura Paul, not Paul Harvey, with the rest of the story. And that is that Tanya Stow Brown is also going to be one of my upcoming special guests here on Let's Talk About It. And we're going to take a deep dive, Tanya, into your life, starting with how you even got into radio, news reporting, how God took you from that to working in the Great Smoky Mountains, And you know, you are a mother. You've got grandchildren. You live a multiple number of lives on Facebook Live, like the Julie Andrews that we've seen you do. So I'm going to probably ask you to do an impromptu Julie Andrews when you're here on Facebook Live with me. And so we've got a lot of things coming your way on Let's Talk About It with Laura Paul and your Praise 96.3. Tanya, any last thoughts regarding NQC before we leave that subject behind?
It was a wonderful experience and a wonderful family reunion, and I am so excited that God brought us together, and I can't see where He's going to take us next.
I'm looking forward to it as well. Dan, it's been a pleasure to have you as my special guest, along with Jeff Talbert this evening. And any comments further from NQC 2025 and the Fan Awards?
I can hardly wait till 26.
I'm right there with you, and I can't wait to see what all comes out of the songwriters and new music that's just ahead for all of us from the family of Southern Gospel Music. And now, as I always do, I'm going to close the show with these words, and that is, if you don't know Jesus, or even if you do, tonight, go talk to Him. He's your best friend. And then tomorrow, go talk to someone about Jesus, because guess what? You and I talking about Jesus can make a difference in this world. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next Monday night. Good night.